Here we go. We got Daydreaming streaming here on week 10 of Snap Tackle Pod. I'm Mick Shaffer from KSHB 41. I'm in one of the studios here, Dion. This is
I know.
where you do Sunday sound off sometimes.
Yes, that's where I'm usually in that studio. So that's definitely, I occasionally get the front desk.
We don't let you in the have you had the main studio?
Oh yeah, I've been in the main studio several times.
Okay. Good to hear.
Usually when I'm announcing some sort of team or nominations or something.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. That's Dion, Clisso of Preps KC. I'm Mick Shaffer, as I said, of KSHB 41, the Snap Tackle Pod. We talk high school football in and around Kansas City. It is week 10, right, on the Missouri side, week 9 on the Kansas side. We have collided, though. It is now time for the playoffs for both sides.
Some people say that if everybody gets in, is it really playoffs? I call it postseason.
Postseason, I like that.
Postseason.
Yeah. No, that makes the most sense. It's postseason. And yeah, it's basically the last regular season game for everybody. And that, like, okay, it's not scheduled, but everybody does get this game. After this week, almost half the teams will be gone because you have teams in Missouri getting buys. And all that stuff.
Yeah. I think it's of our 120, we maybe lose 35 to 40, I think is the number.
Sure.
Because not everybody's playing.
Plays, but Missouri's got some buys now.
Yeah, everybody in Kansas plays. I mean, you'll lose. Not always, because some teams, especially like on 4A, there's some teams that we don't cover that are in that 16-team bracket. So it's definitely a situation where, it's not necessarily a 16 to 8 to 4 to 2. Now, generally after 8, you go 4 to 2, and it goes down pretty quickly. And then when you get to the district finals in Missouri, it goes that way too. And pretty much for the most part, our districts are set up on the Missouri side that feature mostly Kansas City teams. There is a few teams that go off into the other directions. Like Odessa is in the Hannibal district in Class 4.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
I know.
Hannibal's it's on the Mississippi River. We all know where Hannibal is because we know about Mark Twain.
Yes.
It's basically Illinois. And then you have Odessa, which is, the grand scheme of things, basically Kansas City. It's a long drive for somebody.
It is a long drive. So no, it is what it is. There's some people out there on the Twitters complaining about the Missouri playoff system and, fawning over the Illinois playoff system where it's based off of a statewide seeding of 32 teams and based off opponents' wins, which would make a Blue Spring South the 4 seed in 6A, which I think is, I have a hard time buying that, the fourth best team. I voted them number 1, so that's where I stand on that. But there's people out there with some different opinions. There's a guy
people out there in Kansas that don't like some opinions or like how the seating goes.
And at least in Missouri, there's some sort of formula to kind of maybe balance the scales.
Right. Kansas is just like old school. What's your record?
Well, and the thing is, there's one of the big complaints was the Kearney district. Kearney is ranked number 1 in the state. Savannah is ranked number 2 in the state. And Smithville is ranked number 3 in the state. And they're all in the same district. Yeah. Now, you're going to have to beat those teams to go win a state title anyway. Does it matter if it's the second week of the playoffs or the third week of the playoffs?
I think it does. Guys want to advance.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Otherwise, you would seed, who was it last year in the Final Four? Like, Florida and Alabama and Auburn, all like they would play in the early rounds. I think it matters, right? Each round matters in getting far enough. Because I've heard that argument too on the Kansas side. I'm like, you got to play them anyway. Does it matter? I'm like, yes, it matters. A sub-state appearance is way better than losing in the first round.
Well, everything's better in Missouri because we don't say sub-state. So that's
that's right. Yeah, it's right below state, Dion. It's sub.
But it means different things in different sports. That's the problem with it.
I know. We should just we've had this rule before, right? Just call it semifinals.
Yes.
Just call it quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, semifinals, Sweet 16,
round of 16. Yes, because there's regionals, there's sectionals, there's districts in the 2 states, there's the sub-state, there's all.
There is a trophy every single game you play in Kansas.
There is. Yes, there is.
Every single game you play, if you win, you get a trophy.
Well, you get a patch too on the back. You get 5 patches if you win state. Yeah, at least there. All right, let's revisit last week a little bit here, Dion. We were talking before. Big game, big surprise. Maybe not surprise, but the big result last week was Lee Summit, kind of all over Lee Summit North. Huh?
Yeah, they won their 5th straight. They were down 16-0 in that game, scored 37 unanswered to win that game 37-16. They kind of handed it to Lee Summit North a little bit, and they will turn right around and play in 2 weeks or a week and a half at this point, week Friday. And so they will they will be able to, at least Summit North will be able to exact some revenge, or at least Summit will be able to back up that win. But at least Summit's been playing really well for the last month. Now they've been beating up on teams that they're better than, but they've done it. I mean, there's something to be said for that after starting off with a tough run of like Liberty and Blue Spring South and Liberty North and some of those teams that kind of got them early. But great win for Lee Summit. They've totally changed our offense, more of a wildcat look than they've had in the past, and getting the ball into the Hatfield twins and Carson Feeney's hands without really throwing the ball down the field, becoming a really tough physical running team, and great win for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other big games on the Missouri slide last week. We had Liberty at North Kansas City, and the Blue Jays got out and got a good victory over a good team.
Yeah, they jumped on them early and kind of withstood a little bit of a comeback there in the second half. And, it's Liberty football. They get up on you, it's tough because they can run the ball and they play good defense. And they did a good job. But, North Kansas City, battled back and shows that they're going to be a team that to be dealt with. They got the number one seed in that district that has Lee Summit North, and Lee Summit West. So they're definitely in that mix with those teams we just got done talking about. I think it's a good tester for both teams. I know that Coach Joyner didn't necessarily want to get a loss there heading into the postseason, but it wasn't anything that hurt them. It didn't hurt their district seeding. I think they came out of it healthy. They played a tough team, really gave them a good look at what they're going to need to do to get out of their district. And then if they get out of their district, a team they could probably see again, depending on how that district goes with Liberty and Park Hill and those teams.
Elsewhere on the Missouri side, we had Blue Springs, right? We had the Blue Springs game last week taking on Liberty North, and we got that video of it. There we go.
And
right
Liberty North has been playing really well, and that's a good win for Blue Springs. And they took advantage of some Liberty turnovers and got that win. And Liberty North is a team that's improving. There's no doubt. They're a team to keep an eye on, but of course, big plays, man. I'll tell you, that's the Blue Springs in their DNA. They're going to hit you some big plays over the top. They did it again last week, and you see that right there. They've got dynamic receivers, a good quarterback in Wyatt Denny. They're a team to keep an eye on, and really, I think a really solid win for Blue Springs to close out at 6-3 against the Liberty North team that had been playing some fantastic football.
Let's talk Platte County here. Are they like the Ohio State of Missouri high school football in that, like, they're so dominant, but their schedule hasn't been the best, to where, like, we're just kind of waiting for the postseason and a big matchup with whoever it is to really see how good this team is and really how great this team is, because I think they're on the verge of an all-timer.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they got a little bit of a test from they didn't hang 60 in the first half like they had been doing the last few weeks, and so that was a good test for them to go in. And I think I don't know how much their starters. Yeah, Raytown. I don't know how much their starters played in the second half of that game, but Raytown hit some big plays on them, so it made them go out there and have to play to win. So, good test for them going into it. They get a week off. The rest of their district is playing this week, including some interesting matchups that I have yet to do the research, and I feel bad because I wanted to do the research before we did this, of the William Crispin Rockhurst matchup.
Okay,
trying to find out if they've ever played for two schools. Wow. Two schools have been playing football for 100 years. I've got to feel like it's somewhere.
Because Rockhurst's been independent, right? They would have grabbed him at some point.
At some point, I would say pre-60s that Rockhurst and Crispin might have played, because pretty much after that point, the Suburban Conference was in there, and I don't know who was playing. And then when they got in the playoffs, I mean, the old playoff system.
Never big class though. Were they?
Oh yeah, they were class 5 back in the day.
Maybe in the playoffs, sometime.
Class 4, class 5. Maybe, well, no, that's the problem for Crispin. Maybe in the playoffs is not a statement that happened.
Well, to your point, not everybody made the playoffs for a long period of time.
Yeah, but up until, was it late 80s when they went to the 3-team or the 4-team districts? Or mid 80s, I think, or early 80s was a point system, straight point system. So you had undefeated teams sitting at home, and only like 8 and 16. There was like 8, and then it was like 16 teams made the playoffs, and then they went to the district system with played the 3 games, and you win your district and you go on. That was one team out of the district for probably 10 or 15 years, and then they went to 2 teams out of the district up until about 2012. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. In the time I've been around high school sports around here since I was 20. I'm 54. I don't think they played, and I worked at the Examiner, so we would have known that, and maybe they did in that time, and I'm just not remembering. In the 90s somewhere, but I don't think that's what I'm saying. I don't think Crispin made the playoffs that often.
Yeah,
I mean, I could think of maybe like 92, 91, maybe.
We might be having this conversation weekly with Rockhurst here. In
the class five.
Right?
I mean,
and they played Platte County.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they've ever. I definitely probably haven't played Platte County. I don't think going back because Platte County was a pretty small school until 25, 30 years ago when we got up to class 3 and then 4, then 5. Maybe even 6 at some point down the road. But no, it's a question I need to fire off an email to one Tom Cruise and see if he can find whoever the historian.
Know it.
I know they have all that stuff at Rockhurst because when the first year we did Preps KC was their 100th season of football, and so they were doing big celebrations around that. So I'm assuming they've got records of who all they played. I mean, I know like Harrisonville, there was a guy who had one loss against every opponent they'd played, and they've been playing for 100 years.
Yeah.
Now they've been playing for 100 years. And I know Crispin was the Independence High School. Until 65.
Went, right?
Yes, he went to win Crispin. And Truman didn't open until 62 or 63, I think. I have to remember correctly because my mom's cousin's wife is the same age as my mother, and I think they graduated in 65. I think she said that they went her junior and senior year to Truman. So I think it was like 62 or 63 when that opened.
All right, let's jump on over to the Kansas side of things. Olathe West played Olathe Northwest, and one of the biggest matchups those two teams have had against each other in quite some time. It's had a lot of bearing, right, on those 6A East seeds, and the Owls came out with a victory in the rain.
good win for them, and they backed up a lot of the stuff they've done the last few weeks, and that's a team that's playing really well right now, and you can't argue with what they did, and they took it to a very good Olathe Northwest team. You got the 1 seed, and this is going to be a fun 6A bracket. You got Brody Hale, you got Sam Krasowski, and that's a team that can beat you in a couple different ways and really put some points on the board and playing with a lot of confidence right now. Ran into someone yesterday at a swim meet who evidently watches KSHB on Friday nights and is an Olathe West person. I'm not sure what school they were there to watch, a grandchild of some sort, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Or maybe a great-grandchild to watch the swim. I didn't recognize him as a Blue Spring South person, so he said that they watch Olathe West every week. They go out and watch them play. So he was talking about how good they've been playing, and we definitely there's a bracket that some guy.
The bracket right there. You mentioned the bracket. I call it right up. Look at that.
Yeah, and Olathe West is going to Shawnee Mission North team that got a win a couple weeks ago, and then if they get into the second round, you got Olathe South, Blue Valley Northwest. 2 teams that have gotten some big wins over there. I mean, it's a bracket. Shawnee Mission East, Blue Valley West is a great game in the first round.
Yeah.
Olathe North, Shawnee Mission South is a good game. Shawnee Mission Northwest taking on Lawrence, who beat Free State last week.
Unreal. Lawrence I couldn't believe they were winless before that, right?
So they had seen them play, so they couldn't believe they hadn't won a game.
Yeah.
That they were a pretty good team.
And then Olathe East played Mill Valley good for a half, and I couldn't believe it either. So it's a wild bracket there as always. I mean, there's parity in the middle, but I think there's parity throughout 1, 2, 3. I mean, down to like maybe a 12 seed.
Yeah,
very because we had what else we had the Shawnee Mission Northwest, Shawnee Mission East game last week. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 teams that you could see could make a run in 6A, right?
Yeah, especially if Shawnee Mission East gets Jake Reeves back, and
it was the Flexbone Bowl, is what it was.
Yes, there was the Flexbone Bowl in the rain, no less, as it got intended. The Flexbone to be played in the rain or the snow.
That's right.
So no, it's Shawnee Mission East. They get Reeves back. I think he's going to play. Last week,
huge for them.
Obviously. He is huge for them. The backup has played well. It's not like they've scored some points and they played well in that Olathe West game, and it was kind of what you saw that happens a lot of times is. The backup can come in and play well, and the other team isn't expecting what they can do. Then they get a week of Shawnee Mission Northwest gets a film on them, so they were able to kind of adjust to the backup quarterback. And but no, just a great win for Shawnee Mission Northwest, and Shawnee Mission East is a dangerous team. And they've got Blue Valley West, who is not a bad team. So the 6A bracket is wide open.
Yeah, wide open. What we didn't talk about was our Remax Big 3 games of the week. You got those set already?
I do.
Why don't you reveal them to the listening and viewing public as you're revealing them to me. I can't wait.
Yes. Well, we're going to start with two teams we just got done talking about. Lawrence and Shawnee Mission Northwest, a Thursday game. I'm telling you, Shawnee Mission Northwest, you have got to be careful here.
100%. What seeds are those two? Roughly?
They are. I got to look at it.
I could probably tell down there. They got the 2, played the 3. Is that 7-10 maybe?
I think that's a 7-10 game. No, it's
7-10.
Yeah. Or is it 5? No, it's not 5. 6-3? No. 7-10. Yeah.
Okay. Lawrence is a 10 seed, even with that record?
No. Lawrence, yeah. Because, hold on. I don't put seeds next to mine. That's my fault. I'm sorry. I only have so much room on my pages when I put them in.
It's quite
Let's
all right.
See here.
Now, like the North Shawnee South, that's going to be the 7-10 game.
Yes.
You know what? That's 3. You know what that is? That's 3-14, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That looks right. 3-14. Because, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That explains it. But yeah, like just the parity there, you would not be surprised if Lawrence pulled off a win there.
Yes, I would not. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if Shawnee Mission Northwest is playing for the semifinal or making it down to
because the winner gets Free State or Olathe East there as well.
Olathe East got a win over Olathe North last week.
Yeah. No, it's like the NFL. Every week is a new season up there in Kansas 6A. All right, what's another Remax Big 3 game?
All right, we've got the Blue Valley, Mill Valley, maybe one of the best games of the week.
Let's take a look at that. Yeah, so what a wild 5A bracket. Baser Linwood, look, there's probably never been a tougher 16 seed out there than Blue Valley Southwest. So you can't take an EKL team for granted. And you got DeSoto looming, which it was a close game in the regular season. But you avoid Mill Valley, Blue Valley, Aquinas, and St. James all the way to semifinals, sub-state.
Yes.
So the bracket sits up well for Baser. Meanwhile, Mill Valley and Blue Valley, really? The schedules we had to play, and we got to play each other in the first round, and then the winner will most likely get Aquinas.
Yes, no doubt there, and that's a Remax Big 3 game just because there's 2 good teams and maybe one of the most competitive games on either side of the state line. This week. And then our final one is a 116 Baser Linwood Blue Valley Southwest.
Yeah, there it is.
To quote one Anthony Ork, when I did an interview for him for the radio show, which will be out tomorrow, he's like, "Why are you calling an 0-8 coach?" And I'm like, "Because
you get 0-8 coach as well.
Yeah, you're not a typical 0-8 coach. You play in a tough league. You're playing in Baser, who you played last year in the playoffs, that they know very well. And Coach Stahlbaumer and Coach Ork are good friends and played each other a lot over the years. And so, no, I think that's an intriguing game. I think that Baser is definitely the favorite in that game. But if there's ever going to be a 116, it's something like this. And, like Washington was looking like they were going to be that one. Yeah. And they lost by so many points. They dropped to the 4 and they drew Blue Valley North.
Blue Valley North has a great chance of winning 2 games.
Yes.
Bracket.
Like they did last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And same deal with a St. James team. They're on that other side of the bracket with Mill Valley, Aquinas, Blue Valley, but they wouldn't play them until 3 rounds into the playoffs. They have a good chance, Dion, of winning a couple games.
It's a good team. You're seeing me play here against Blue Valley West. It was close early, and then St. James pulled away and just did a good job of staying with what they were doing. There's Jackson House there that have a good run, and Dave Hornback is the quarterback, has stepped in this year and done a good job there too. So that St. James team is a dangerous one to play, especially going down the line.
Well, and they just had that one loss to Aquinas, right?
Yeah, and they led that game in the second half for about 5 minutes, but they led it.
Yeah, 41-21, and that's nothing to hang your head about against this year's Aquinas team. So, that could be another team that's dangerous in 5A. All right, over on the Missouri side, what games we got?
We've got a good one. Excelsior Springs Van Horn is a rematch of last year's game. Excelsior Springs, really a young team under Coach Corey Creason, but they're starting to play a little better. And
this is Missouri Class 4, right?
Yep, Missouri Class 4. Van Horn has been pretty solid. They've won some close games down the stretch, and it's going to be interesting to see how some of these games go. This is the 4-5 in that Smithville Kearney Savannah district.
Yeah.
So the winner gets Kearney, but I think it's a good test for both these teams. And if you're Excelsior, This is their last year in the Suburban Conference. Next year they're going to go to Middle Empire. And the hope is they were able to stay healthy and keep kids enthused enough to be a part of the football program, because they took some lumps the last few years there in the Suburban Conference. But no, I think it's a good game, and Excelsior wants to be physical. And I talked with Coach Bird from Van Horn, and he likes this game, and he likes it for what it brings to his team, the physicality and things that they're going to need to do if they want to go further.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? And the winner gets Kearney, as you can see there on the bracket. Good luck there. All right, another Big 3 game on the Missouri side.
Oak Park at Liberty North. Oak Park, a young team, but they've got some talent. Liberty North, a young team that's played well. And, Oak Park's had some games where they've kind of gotten run out, but at the same time, they've played tough. I mean, they had North Kansas City on the ropes up 21-0, going to, in the halftime of that game. And they've got some good skill guys. You talk to Coach Learman, and he talks about it. He goes, hey, we got to be careful. They've got good young skill players, and they can get away and do some damage. So, no, that's a good test for both teams that are younger teams and looking to take that step forward. So it's definitely one that is a good one to keep an eye on. Then the final one, and
that's Class 6, right?
Class 6. They're in a different part of the bracket.
Side of the bracket, then, right? Huh?
Yeah, because the Blue Springs district goes to the opposite side of the bracket, and those giant long skinny brackets. Skinny brackets.
Long skinny brackets.
Yep.
Yeah, I called up the wrong one. All right, saved the wrong one. I'll get better next time. I apologize there. What's the last one?
University Academy St. Michael. Their
Class
conference foes. That is Class 3.
3. Okay. I knew that.
So, yeah.
There we go. Up top there.
Yep. The winner gets Knob Noster, and I'll be real honest with you. Knob Noster is a good football team. I'm not trying to run them down, but I think St. Michael and University Academy maybe play a little better schedule. And so, you got a chance to maybe kind of get deep here, and you got Clinton and Boonville on that. But that's a St. Michael team that had some injuries early on, played a pretty tough schedule. But University Academy's been in a lot of games. They're 5-4, and these teams know each other very well. They played a lot over the last few years, and it should be a really fantastic football game. That's played at Lee Summit North. That's where St. Michael will play that home game at this week.
Very nice. You mentioned the Oak Park game and all those other games. Feels like this game this week, we always kind of make fun of this week, right? The first week, there's never any good games. I feel like there's maybe better ones than before.
There's better ones than before. Kansas definitely has got a lot of great matchups, but I think there's some pretty good ones on the Missouri side as well. You've got a lot of Thursday games too, which I like.
Yeah, a ton of Thursday games.
Thursday games. You've got what was one like Park Hill South, Lee Summit West. Two teams that haven't won a lot of games, but they're improving. So they're kind of you've got some good even matchups. And I think that says a lot, Staley against St. Joe Central. That's not a bad one. Because, of course, the aforementioned classic matchup between William Chrisman and Rockhurst, playing for the 75th time. You've got East Buchanan, who's a pretty good team, but they're beat up. They've been beat up all season against a Lawson team that's not bad. Let's see here. Pleasant Hill, Harrisonville, a Pleasant Hill team that didn't get off to a great start, but playing much better football right now in a game that's always a tough one. Winnetonka, who's had one of their better seasons in the last few years, going to Pius. That's a good one there too. So, yeah, a lot of Thursday games, which is great. And I talked to, Van Horn's one of them that moved to Thursday. And I know the principal of Van Horn, and he's the one to text me and let me know. And he just said they're kind of just hoping to avoid Halloween, let kids do what they want to do and that kind of stuff. So there's like 14 games on the Missouri side that we cover and 4 on the Kansas. And so I think I don't know if he made it sound like the Van Horn coach made it sound like Misha had to approve going to Thursday.
Okay, gotcha.
So they did that, and I think they threw it out there with it being Halloween. And I think it's better. You don't want to and he talked about some people I've talked to said part of high school football is middle schoolers being there at the game and seeing and if it's a playoff game, you want some younger kids to be there. But if it's Halloween, they're not going to be there. They're going to be out trick or treating.
Yeah, good point.
There's a lot of families that they may have a high school kid, but they may have a kid who's out trick or treating, and they got to figure out what they want to do. So you saw some games get moved to Thursday. The ones in Kansas are basically like facility driven.
Sure.
With all the hosting games, hosting games. So yeah, no, it's so we're going to have good coverage on Thursday night and on Friday as well, and you guys will as well. We're still in the coordinating phases of that to pull the curtain back we don't have it all figured out by Wednesday. That's not usually how we roll.
Yeah.
It'll be later tonight when we get Thursday
figure it
figured
out
out
tonight.
and Friday figured out
Uh,
how we can coordinate our coverage.
Let's talk about Kansas 4A here, because forever that's been on the east side. It's been Bishop Miege, right, coming out of it. They didn't get the state championship win last year. Are they going to get out of it this year? 3-5 Miege team. Good win, by the way, last week over Blue Valley. Are they still favorites here? Or are you looking at like a Eudora or a Tonganoxie or Pale or one of these other teams, or a Piper that can come out of it?
Well, it's kind of that way that bracket fell. Eudora's playing great, and they've earned the 1 seed, and that's a good team. And they just got done beating Paola, so if they get past Coffeyville, they'll probably get Paola again. Sumner's a pretty good team, but I think Paola's definitely the favorite there. Bishop Miege went to Atchison last year and got a win, so I feel like they'll get that. They'd have to go to Tongi, which I think they did last year as well, and then have to go to Eudora. The real question of that, I think those are the teams, Miege, Eudora, and Tongi are the 3 teams on the top of that bracket that we feel like are probably one of those 3's coming out. Mm-hmm. The bottom half of this bracket is the one that's interesting. Lebec County and Chanute, I don't know if they play the competition level that's like Frontier League or even, what Bonner and Atchison and those, or not what Miege and Atchison and those teams play. Ottawa has been pretty good all season. They're down their number 1 receiver, but they got a good win over Tonganoxie last week. I feel
like that bottom bracket might be Piper's for the taking.
Piper's the one that's played a tougher schedule.
Yeah.
They played a bunch of 5A teams and they have hung with it. They're pretty healthy. They're coming off a good win over Topeka West. They went to Topeka Seaman and won in week 1. So they've got that going for them. And, last week, they've got some players and they've got some guys.
I was going to say with the running back and the same guy as the linebacker, he might be the best player on the field.
We've got a sophomore quarterback who's come a long way for them and gotten much better as the season's gone on. But Roman Byers, their running back, is a guy. And Piper could be a team that makes a deep run into the semis. And who knows? There's 4 teams right there that could all make it to the state championship game. And you never know. It's the 4A bracket may not be as wide open in terms of number of teams that you think can get there. But there's not necessarily a lock team, though. Miege's win over Blue Valley last week was pretty impressive in overtime. That was a good win for them.
Yeah, I wonder if they're kind of – John Holmes, what a great coach. If he's kind of, putting it together. Something similar with Gardner Edgerton, right? We talk about a wide-open 6A, and they took a couple lumps in the regular season, but you see what Sire Padilla is doing, and you're wondering, okay, is this veteran, seasoned, program, have they kind of gotten things together, and are they the team to beat in 6A? Yeah,
no, I kind of agree there too. Sari Padilla is having a great year, and he's at 1,800 yards in 8 games. And they're playing. He had 250 yards on 9 carries last week against Shawnee Mission West, and Shawnee Mission West is a little outman, and they play them again this week, so they get 2 weeks in a row on it. And
oh wow,
that's where you got to be careful. If you feel like you're in a game that the kids come sometimes like, well, we just got done beating these guys. You got to overcome that.
Yeah,
but they should be able to do that. But then you also have to be careful. We don't want to burn our boys out or leave somebody out there that gets hurt, but at the same time, still making sure you're getting reps that you need. And so he's got a chance if they win 3 or 4 games. He's got a chance of going 24, 25, 2,600 yards. Cal Arndt is still averaging 200 yards a game, but he's set out the last 2. He's set out the last 2 weeks, and I think
how much of that is, hey, he's really injured? How much is load management? We got bigger games coming.
I think that was a little both. I think they wanted to make sure he was totally healed up, and I talked to Coach Riley, and he said it was up to the kid. The kid would play. He said, I was like, but that's the kind of kid he is, and that's the reason why. He played in the second half of that Rockers game on a bad ankle, and Alan Terrell told me, 40% of Cal Arndt is better than 90 or 100% of a lot of guys.
That's funny.
So it's definitely a spot for those guys. You're talking about Sire Padilla's got a chance to really put up some big numbers as they go through the playoffs because he's gotten his yards against everybody.
And that takes us to our stats leaders. You can find it at prepskc.com. They're updated here. I feel like Sire Padilla's ran himself into Simone Award finalist contention and McCarthy.
Preps KC MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. Here's a situation. Rocco won the MVP last year, and he's probably the best player in the city. Now, the MVP is a little different. If Gardner goes to a state championship game or wins a state championship, it's going to be a lot of Sayer Padilla.
Sure.
A lot of Sayer Padilla. Now, there's 11 other guys or 10 other guys on the field with him every time. But that team replaced 18 starters. So you're talking true MVP. That kid's got a chance to he's joined the conversation for sure. Because there's a few guys out there. Because you look at him, you look like a Brody Hale at Olathe West. Cal Arndt, especially at Aquinas, in terms of offensive player of the year / MVP. Just on the offensive side, you got Aiden Wilhelm at Blue Springs South.
Blue Springs South, absolutely.
Guys like that have made big impacts, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. And you got a kid in Carson Feeney who missed 2 games, has only played 6 games, and basically as a tailback's got almost 800 yards.
Yeah,
as a wildcat, switch positions basically, still catching the ball when they throw it. Who's a huge impact on that team. Not sure where he's going to fit in terms of McCarthy Elite Team if he makes it, because he's more of a running back now than he is than a receiver. But there's guys who are making impacts, for their teams that
Sure.
maybe don't fit the natural stat line that you think that they should have. We've got 1,000-yard running or 1,000-yard quarterbacks in Kansas. Trey Woodruff, Jack Reeves. I mean, those are 2 guys that are integral to what those teams do. And if those teams go deep, those guys have got to be considered for some of those things.
No, absolutely. Where are we at on the McCarthy Elite Team? Were we covered all the units on the field?
We still got to do D-backs, which is always one of the toughest ones to do. We did linebackers last week. And
doing these, where do people find them?
On our YouTube page. And we have a little video, and I usually do a little write-up with it. Some weeks we do a write-up, or we just do the video. We do some of our guys. We sit down. I think this week I got some fresh kicker stats sent to me, so we may do
I love fresh
specials. So that's always a good time. If someone's gonna get you the info, it's time. It's always a good time to focus on that. And
absolutely,
we've got some really good kickers here in the Metro. Trace Rudd was the kicker last year. Punter was the Free State guy, and he graduated. The returner was the DeSoto kid. He graduated. So there's a lot, Trace Rudd's, one of the best in the country. But there's other good guys out there too. So there's a lot, the specialists and long snappers. Those guys. We had the guy from Park Hill South who was a long snapper last year and played quarterback. Yeah. So it's fun. And trust me, if you do enough digging, there's a list of the top rated guys at all of those positions.
All those positions. Yeah.
It's long snapper included. So
nice.
Yeah, it's out there if you want to find it.
Awesome. Anything else for us as we count it out?
No, I think that's about it. It's going to be, as we record this on Wednesday, I think the rain has stopped.
I think we're good on rain. It's going to be a little bit cooler still, but it
feels like football.
Like 6 straight days.
I had to put jeans instead of shorts on today. It was kind of a sad day.
Sorry about that.
Been in shorts for the better part of 5 months maybe, as a general rule. Exception of having to throw some khakis on for
good football season for the most part. It's pretty warm most of these weekends. But.
Yeah, we only had one night of delays, and that was it so far. And it looks like you get into November, it's hard to come up with thunderstorms in November, but you never know. It's Missouri and Kansas. Anything can happen. So,
well, awesome. Check out Preps KC all Thursday and Friday nights. As we mentioned, a lot of games on Thursday night.
Yep,
we're going to have some games on KSHB 41 on Thursday night as well. Dion and I, we'll figure it out. This podcast, who's shooting what, all that stuff. And then, of course, Friday night, the big night as well. As always, check out Preps KC and KSHB 41 for your Under the Lights.
Yep.
With McKenzie's on vacation with Matt Foster.
Good old Matt.
Matt.
Makes me feel short.
He does. Makes a lot.
6'1", 6'2" guy. He makes me feel short.
Yeah. Same. I'm 6'1". I'm 6'2" at some point. I think I'm strong.
I think I've given my son too many. I think I had him a little too high because I was still counting myself as 6'2".
Yeah.
So I think he's not quite as tall as I thought he was.
Awesome. Dion, thanks for your time. Thanks to you as well for watching or listening to Snap Tackle Pod.